There's something about classic cars, lovingly and painstakingly restored to their former glory. These are some of the finest examples of classic MG cars from the yesteryears, a brand of British heritage which was first established almost a century ago.
Now, Morris Garage's the brand MG. You may have heard of it now or you're familiar with it now, but it's been in India for a long time, particularly from the 50s, 60s and 70s. In fact, MG as a brand is 96 years old, and today at the 21 Gun Salute Vintage Car and Bike Rally, we have a whole load of MG classic cars here on display, right from the 1950s, 60s and more.
On display are some of the finest examples of MG's heritage, right from the company's earliest examples of production models.
So MG was born in 1924 as the product of Cecil Kimber, who was the founder of MG. It was his dream. So he worked at a dealership in Oxford, which was called the Morris Garage. And he spent his free time tuning Morris cars. These cars quickly gained a reputation for success in sporting events, particularly trials, and MG became a brand in its own right in 1924. So from 1924 through to 1929, they enjoyed huge success. In 1929, they realised they were too big for their premises in Oxford, so they moved to Abingdon. And from 1929 through to 1980, they were based in Abingdon. Since '82, they were based in Longbridge in Birmingham, all the way up until 2005, when the brand effectively collapsed and was rescued by SAIC, the Shanghai Automotive Group.
A short drive of classic MG cars flagged off from the venue of the 21 Gun Salute Rally. Among them, several gorgeous examples, including the famous MG T-Type, a range of two-door sports cars which were very popular during the 50s and the 60s across the world.
So this is the MG TD. It's a 1951 model. It's a T-Type of the two-door sports car that MG used to produce from 1936 to 1955. This one is a 1951 TD. There used to be a TB, TC, TD and TF, all T-Type models. And that's the one. We're going to take a short spin and see what it feels like.
A warm sunny morning and a classic two-door MG. Just the perfect recipe to relive the heydays of the 1960s. In fact, the 21 Gun Salute Rally offered a unique opportunity for MG to showcase its heritage and legacy.
It's amazing. I had no idea that there were this sort of passion for MG here in India. I got a little taste of it in 2018 when I had my first visit to India, but this is my first time at the 21 Gun Salute. And the quality of the cars and the variety of the cars is just breathtaking. You look at people like Madan Mohan with his MGA, with his MGTD, you can see there are guys here that are building really beautiful cars. The MG YT that's on the MG stand as well. Again, a very rare car. We never see them in the UK because they're all but extinct. But here's a car that's been restored by the owner, all his own hard work. And he uses that car every Sunday, goes out and does mile after mile after mile and properly uses the car. And that, for me, is really exciting.
The 21 Gun Salute Rally, however, was a celebration of everything automotive, from the 1970s, 1960s, and even back to the earliest days of automobile history.
So this is the car that started it all, the Ford Model T. This one was in production from about 1908 to about 1927. Passenger vehicle industry as you know it today. This was the pioneer, the Ford Model T.
The Ford Model T is generally regarded as the first affordable automobile that made car ownership available to middle class Americans in the 1920s. But also on display, some fine examples of immaculately restored classic Rolls-Royce cars, as well as post-war American examples, including a range of classic American muscle cars.
So it's all about vintage and classic cars at the 9th edition of the 21 Gun Salute Vintage and Car Rally Concours d'Elegance. And this is the preservation class. Look at this, it's a 1959 Chevrolet Impala. You may have seen it in old Bollywood movies and even Hollywood movies. Original paint, a little rusted, but every little detail of this car is original, including the upholstery inside.
And if the 21 Gun Salute Rally was a showcase of the finest classic and vintage cars, a dedicated class for classic and vintage two-wheelers displayed some fine examples. A classic Royal Enfield, a whole range of classic bikes from Indian Motorcycle, as well as scooters from Vespa and Lambretta. In all, the 21 Gun Salute Vintage Car and Bike Rally celebrated the finest examples of preservation and restoration, and puts India pretty much shoulder to shoulder with collectors from around the world of the finest classic and vintage cars and bikes.